You were never just a body, and the Egyptians knew it. You weren't meant to be trapped in here. Not inside this skin. Not inside this name. Not inside this weight you carry in silence. There was a moment. You forgot. But your soul didn't. The Egyptians didn't just bury their dead. They trained their living to die consciously. They built temples not to worship gods, but to leave the body while still alive, to walk in two worlds, to expand beyond the spine, to dissolve the illusion of form and remember the temple of light you came from. And they left a technique, hidden in stone, encoded in vibration, passed only from master to initiate, from breath to breath. And now, you're about to remember it. This isn't just a story. This is an activation. And if you feel it in your bones, you were meant to find this moment. Because you're not watching this video. Your astral body is. And it's already listening. Chapter 1. The gate was never outside you. It was hidden in the body. You don't leave the body by accident. You were designed for it. The ancient Egyptians knew that the body was not a prison. It was a portal. They trained the spine like a staff of light. They tuned the breath like a key to the ether. And they prepared the soul to exit in silence. They called it sacred sleep, but you were more awake than ever. Because in the temples of Karnak, Luxor, and Abydos, initiation didn't mean worship. It meant separation. Separation from form. Separation from name. Separation from the illusion that this world is all there is. They taught that your etheric body sits right beneath your skin, and when the right vibration is activated, you begin to feel the subtle tremble of departure. That's not fear, that's not imagination. That's your astral body preparing to rise. You're not broken, you're responding. And when you begin to hear the ringing in your ears, the hum in your spine, the stillness louder than sound, that's not your nervous system. That's your soul traveler awakening. And the gate isn't in the stars. It's in your breath, your stillness, your vibration. Chapter 2. The Temple Code. How the Egyptians prepared the soul to exit the body. You were never just bones and breath. There's something electric beneath your skin, something ancient, something waiting. The Egyptians didn't open portals with their hands. They opened them with frequency. Inside the inner chambers of the temple, the initiate was stripped of all distraction, until only silence remained. But this silence wasn't empty. It was charged. It was vibrating. They believed there was a current moving through the human form, a hidden energy body stretching from the base of the spine to the crown of the head. And they whispered that this energy body was not symbolic. It was the bridge, the living thread between flesh and spirit, between dream and dimension. They trained this body. They tuned it. And only when its vibration reached the right resonance could the soul begin to loosen. Not with effort, not with force, but with frequency. They knew that when all inner gates aligned, the vibrational body would pulse, and the physical form would grow still. And in that stillness, you'd begin to rise. Chapter 3. The Sacred Alignment, Unlocking the Gates of the Body. They didn't call them chakras, but they mapped them, one by one, stone by stone. From the base of the spine to the crown of the skull, each temple chamber echoed a center inside you. The Egyptians believed the body was a temple, but not of worship, of alignment. Each center was a gate, and each gate had a frequency. When silent, you were heavy. When activated, you became weightless. They prepared the body like a sacred corridor, each vibration tuned, each breath placed with purpose, until the inner pathways began to open, and the light body began to stir. You felt this before. The pressure in your brow, the heat in your spine, the pull behind your heart that has no name. These are not random sensations. They are invitations from your own energetic architecture. The Egyptians didn't escape the body, they expanded it. They filled it with light until the veil between flesh and ether grew thin, and the astral body could slip through with ease. They aligned the gates, and then they waited. Because the soul doesn't need to run, it just needs permission. Chapter 4. The moment of separation. What really happens when the astral body rises? It doesn't feel like flying. It doesn't feel like dreaming. It feels like nothing. And then, everything. There is a hum. Not in the room, but in you. A vibration that builds like thunder beneath the skin, like a second heartbeat in a body you didn't know you had. The Egyptians called it the moment of passage. The veil thins, the gates open, and something begins to pull you from inside out, not violently, but with precision, with memory. Your limbs feel heavy, your breath distant, your thoughts stretch like silk into a space you can't see, but suddenly know. You don't leave the body, you unhook from it. Your astral form rises, not with force, but with resonance. The more aligned the inner gates, the smoother the departure. The more coherent your energy, the more complete the experience. And for a moment, you see yourself, still, below. And something ancient inside you whispers, "I've done this before." Because you have, and your body remembers, because the temple never forgot. Chapter 5. The crown must open first. The secret of lucid departure. They knew one thing above all. The exit is through the crown, not the feet, not the hands, not even the heart. The crown chakra, the luminous gate above the skull, is the portal of lucid memory. You can leave the body through fear or through light. But only those who activate the crown before departure carry their consciousness across the veil. The Egyptians prepared it first. They opened it with breath, with silence, with sound. Because this wasn't just a spiritual experience, it was a training of perception. A technique not to escape, but to return with remembrance. They knew, if you depart with the crown open, you come back with the vision intact. Your memory stays clear, your dreams stop fading, and the veil begins to open, even while you're awake.
This is not imagination, this is initiation, and it begins at the top, because the gate to the astral is not just energetic, it's electric, and once opened, you're never the same again.
Chapter 6. The vehicle of light, expanding the energy body for departure. You can't travel without a vehicle. And the Egyptians knew the body was not enough, not the physical one, but the one made of frequency, of fire, of light. They whispered that beneath the muscles and skin, there's another layer, more alive, more intelligent, more ancient than the body you've been taught to trust. They called it the Ka, the radiant double, the sacred twin, your real vessel for astral travel. But this Ka doesn't awaken by chance. It requires ignition. It requires alignment. It requires vibrations so pure that the walls between worlds dissolve. The breath feeds it. The silence nourishes it. But it's the frequency you hold that determines if the Ka expands or sleeps. This is why the Egyptians activated all 7 gates, root to crown, one by one, to charge the energy body until it could rise on its own. Because the astral realm does not open to the weak, it opens to the coherent, to the aligned, to the ones who remember that the light body is not a metaphor, it's a technology, and you were always its operator. Chapter 7. The sound that opens the body and heals it. They didn't call it a mantra. They called it a memory, a vibration that didn't just rise, but remembered. The Egyptians believed that sound was not decoration, it was technology. A sacred instrument to tune the body, to awaken the spirit, and to heal the vessel before departure. Because the body must be ready, not perfect, not holy, but in harmony. And so they used sacred tone, not just to activate the light body, but to restore the physical. Bones that held trauma, organs that held memory, skin that held fear. When the right frequency vibrated through the body, everything began to realign. The cells responded, the breath softened, the nervous system stopped bracing, and the astral gate began to listen. Because no soul rises easily from a body still screaming, they chanted not to escape, but to prepare. And those who mastered the sound were no longer wounded beings trying to fly. They were whole frequencies ready to rise. Chapter 8. The Medicine of Resonance. Preparing the body to let go. Before the body could open, it had to soften. The Egyptians knew that tension was a trap, that trauma locked the gates, that fear froze the current. So they treated sound not as art, but as medicine. Each tone a scalpel, each chant a balm, each frequency a tool to unwind the body from the inside. They didn't push the soul to rise, they invited it. And the first step of the invitation was creating a body safe enough to leave. They hummed into the bones. They breathed into the scars. They released the fear stored in the belly, the sorrow in the lungs, the silence in the throat. This wasn't performance, it was preparation. Because your soul won't rise from a battlefield. It will rise from harmony. And when the chant was right, when the resonance was clear, the body exhaled, and the gate opened. No effort, no resistance, just remembrance. Because your energy body is listening, and the right sound doesn't just call it forth, it sets it free. Chapter 9. The Astral Anatomy, Mapping the Invisible Pathways of Exit. The Egyptians did not guess, they mapped. They drew invisible rivers across the body, not of blood, but of energy. Pathways that carried vibration, memory, light. Pathways that, when cleared, allowed the soul to move freely, as if walking through open doors inside its own temple. They saw the spine not as a bone, but as a ladder of frequency. They saw the breath not as air, but as a sacred current that pushed the astral body upward. And above all, they understood the importance of direction. Upward, toward the crown, toward light, toward the remembrance of origin. Each center, each gate, each current was activated, not randomly, but in sacred sequence. Because the body was never a trap, it was a map. And when followed correctly, you didn't just leave the body, you entered the stars. Because your destination was always written in your design. And now, you're starting to remember the way. Chapter 10. Beyond the Body, Remembering Why You Came Here. You were never meant to stay inside these walls, this form, this fear, this forgetting. You came here with wings, but they were hidden in your bones. The Egyptians didn't escape death, they rehearsed it. Until leaving the body became second nature. Until the soul stopped clinging to survival and started remembering its assignment. Because you didn't come to Earth to forget who you are. You came to remember it, inside matter. To make this flesh a temple. To make this breath a bridge. To awaken, not by leaving life, but by bringing consciousness into it. Astral projection is not an escape. It is a return to your original design. And now that you've remembered the way, there's only one thing left to say. I'm not the body. I'm the traveler. Final activation. Let the body rest. Let the soul rise. If this resonated with something ancient inside you, it wasn't just a memory. It was a signal. Your astral body was listening, and now it remembers the way. So breathe deeply, feel the stillness between words, and speak this out loud with your whole being. I'm not the body, I'm the traveler. Repeat it, not as an affirmation, but as a command. Let the light body hear it. Let your breath carry it. Let your vibration rise with it. And when the time is right, you'll leave awake. If this transmission activated something in you, honor the frequency, like, share, and let this vibration travel to the ones who are also ready, because some initiations are meant to be remembered together.